Oh, oh, my body is a prison. Oh, this is so painful.
Hi everyone and welcome to Priority Holder, and today we'll be playing Colorless-Jund Eldrazi in the Timeless format. Now I also happen to be an avid drafter, and the terror of MH3 Limited right now is Writhing Chrysalis. 4 mana 2/3 Devoid Reach. When you cast it, you create 2 Eldrazi Spawns, which are 0/1s that can sacrifice for colorless mana. And whenever you sacrifice another Eldrazi, put a 1/1 counter on Writhing Chrysalis. So it's like functionally a 4 mana 4/5 Reach with like Lotus Petal creatures it creates that if you can save them for your next turn, can accelerate stuff out. It's just really strong, and anytime something stands out that much in draft, I always want to try it and construct it. So that's sort of what led me here. And the best engine card to go along with it is Glaring Fleshraker. 3 mana 2/2. Whenever you cast a color spell, it creates it a spawn, and whenever a colorless creature enters the battlefield under your control, it dings the opponent for 1. So casting a single colorless creature with this in play dings the opponent for 2 because it creates the spawn along with it, and this can really get opponents dead really quick when combined with stuff like Kozilek's command, which as one of its modes can create X Eldrazi Spawn. So you can just sort of machine gun them down if you do a big Kozilek's command with the Fleshraker in play. Not to mention the sort of impulse draw engine of Glimpse of the Impossible, which can be anywhere from 3 card impulse draw to just 3 Eldrazi Spawns, and so very flexible and works really good in the shell. We're running Colorless Lord and a Pseudo Lord and Propagator Drone, as well as like some acceleration. Now I need to mention the mana base. The mana base is tough. We're hitting Jund to get the black off Deathrite Shaman and like our red and green spells, but we also have to have colorless sources, so it makes the mana base really difficult. So we're running some pain lands to try and get there. Cavern of Souls as a colorless source, as well as Delighted Halfling as a colorless source. Not to mention leaning upon Once Upon a Time to help us get the right lands and right creatures. So let's see it in some games. This is a great looking hand. We have a Mana Dork and we have a Once Upon a Time in our opener. So unfortunately can't fire both of them off because once you cast one, the other one returns to its cost. So another Fleshraker seems pretty good, though it sucks to put Writhing Chrysalis on the bottom. Let's see if we can turn to a Fleshraker. Alright. Mishra's Bauble, Kumano faces Kakazan. Okay, that's you know, our Mana Dork survived at the very least. Alright, so the opponent's gonna draw off Bauble. No Lurrus Companion, so it looks like they're just pure mono red. Gonna slam Glaring Fleshraker and once again hope it survives to be able to start going off with the next one. But that's a big ask against red, so we'll see what happens. Opponent even has the Cough avatar, so they're all in on the mono red life. Alright, there's Wizard's Lightning. So opponent played the Lavamancer first to get the cost reduction on the Wizard's Lightning, so lost our Fleshraker. The question is, do we want to play anything? What I'm doing here is holding up Kozilek's command, and we're pretty glad we did because of Eidolon the Great Revel. So opponent's gonna have like a big attack. Now, interesting, no attack for them. We were like representing like Collected Company. Like I could see them expecting that. So that is some unexpected value. We can cast Kozilek's command because of our Karplusan Forest, or is it Karplusan? I have no idea. But we're gonna X2 Kozilek's command. Like we have so many spells that punish us with Eidolon of the Great Revel, so we're gonna take that out and make a couple Eldrazi Spawn and pass. Lightning Bolt is really good in this matchup. But yeah, so we will have to tap Halfling in order to have the mana for it. So I have to be careful with the auto tapper and like pain lands and stuff. Oh, it looks like, okay, yeah. So decide not to even worry about Lightning Bolt. So used to my graveyard decks that hate the flipped Kumano Saga, so I'm gonna play Propagator Drone. It's only gonna get 1 evolve. Well, I guess it's gonna get 2 evolve triggers because it replaces it off the Fleshraker. So just trying to put some stats on the battlefield against mono red. Just make their attacks tough and hard for them to push through the damage. All right, so just full cost, light up the stage. Does get them their get 2 lava runners online. But opponent doesn't have really good attacks. Oh, but they're sending in. Alright, so love the boldness. So now we need to figure out what we want to block. Decide to block in this manner, just to trim down their creatures as much as possible. Like, we know we can rebuild pretty easily with Fleshraker and like any other colorless card. Did brick right there though, so see if this Once Upon a Time gets us anything. Alright, Propagator Drone. There's an argument also for Deathrite Shaman. Go ahead and grab Deathrite Shaman. It's just so powerful against mono red. Decide just to kill their creature and figure out how to attack here. Though I don't know if that was correct to like... It's so valuable to get Deathrite Shaman through its summoning sickness and to start gaining some life, so... I'm not... I was worried about the 3/3 because we didn't have like amazing blocks for it. Alright, so opponent has another G2 Lava Runner. And yeah, gladly we'll try and double block this. See if... Alright, so opponent only had one card in hand. That's why I was willing to make that gamble. And they didn't have the burn spell to punish us right there. So things are working okay. I mean, the opponent does have Den of the Bugbear. So we'll have to like be aware of that. And not get too unaware of what's happening. So... Alright, I'm going to grab the It That Heralds the End... And it's less mana efficient, but like there is an argument to putting Deathrite into play, once again, just to get through its summoning sickness. So go ahead and opt for that. Like we could get the Herald into play, but I feel like we need as many creatures at stats as possible against mono red. Especially note like they have creature lands and lot of attackers in this build. Alright, so here comes Den of the Bugbear. And attacking from the opponent. So, Den of the Bugbear, definitely want to kill that. Like, it does suck to lose Deathrite Shaman, but it's like functionally getting us a lot of life right here by preventing any more Den of the Bugbear shenanigans. So, this leaves all of our colorless creatures in play, and wow, Propagator Drone is amazing. So, gonna play that and just get some more evolved triggers. You could just see how amazing Glaring Fleshraker is, and this, like, it's just, it does it all. It makes spawns, it pings the opponent, it goes absolutely wild. And all of a sudden, we've dealt them a ton of damage and have like massive attacks right here. So I don't know what the opponent could even do, like some sort of, you know, light up the stage into burn spells, and like, I think we're pretty safe right here. So they're gonna send in, and yeah, I mean we're gonna double block right here. All right, so opponent does have the blowout by hitting our Lord with Play with Fire, and it's going to kill one of our tokens, but this just leaves them dead to our crackback right here. So managed to sneak out a win against Burn with just tons of stats. So. But if you like that, please binding drone the like button, and we're on to the next game. Another Once Upon a Time hand. It is risky because it is a one lander, but Once Upon a Time should get us there. And we have a mana dork, so it's... That being said, here's a turn 1 grief from the opponent. So I'm definitely going to Once Upon a Time in response, considering how like mana screwed we are. And we did manage to get a land, so that is nice. And the land is safe from grief, so that's why I fired off the Once Upon a Time. Let's see what they take. Alright, so they take the Delighted Halfling. Alright, they're going to crack their fetch. Let's see what else happens. And they have the Reanimate. Okay, so here comes grief again to take another bite out of our hand. Taking Bolt, of course. So, alright, well that's a pretty strong turn 1 from the opponent. Now we just play our little mana dork and move on with our lives with our little pain land dinging us. Let's see if the opponent can keep up the insane pressure they've already mounted on us. So grief's gonna just crash on in. They're gonna bolt the bird. Alright, and they pass. Alright, so we have to fetch here. The question is, do we lock up a black source for Deathrite later, or just like preserve our life total? Decide just to preserve our life total and get Forest. It's just dangerous against how much pressure they have. You know, they have bolts, they have grief with menace. Like we just have to be careful here. So, and the black mode on Deathrite Shaman is damage dealing to them anyway. So like it's not worth it fetching right there. So the question is, do we like hang back and block, or do we try and race them? I opted to try and race them, considering we have 2 3/3s to their just their 3/2. But that changes now as the opponent Dark Rituals out another Grief. So let's see what they take from us. Okay, so they take our like card engine and smash us again. Deathrite Shaman. So we're gonna attack in with both of them, and like we are threatening like a ton of damage to them. Like it is risky. Like if they rip a bolt and attack with 2 griefs, we're dead. You know. So the question is, so I'm gonna gamble here. Once upon a time, and we do find a land because I really wanted to like double spell this turn if possible, and set up for Glaring Fleshraker in the future. This is incredibly risky because we're bolting ourselves down to 6, which makes Lightning Bolt a live draw for them. So the opponent's going to crash in with Grief. Play tap land, okay. Now we can't quite kill them. If we Deathrite them, attack in, but they're still alive. So going to Glimpse the Impossible and just attack them down to 3. Now Glimpse is going to put 3 spawns into play, so like Grief can't really attack through that, so it's going to take a bolt right, and the opponent doesn't find it. So that was a close one against Scam. And we survived the turn 1 full on Scam, so that always feels amazing. So we jump into the next game with the turn 1 Delighted Halfling, Plains and Pass from the opponent. Once upon a time, right on time. Right after would have been useful. Gonna start with Propagator Drone. Alright, the opponent is just gonna swords it. Okay. Starting with the drone because maybe we play Glimpse and then put a bunch of stuff into play. Now this sucks. It would have been amazing to slam Writhing Chrysalis right here, but we have a Surveil land, so had to make do with that. Kozilek's command could be pretty nice. Alright, here comes... I don't know if people pronounce it Felia or Philia. Like, if you take the O off Ophelia, then it'd be Philia, but I've heard it pronounced multiple ways. But I'm just going to say Philia. Anyway, the dog is going to blink Stoneforge, which doesn't feel great. I'm going to snap off this block right here. Like, even though we have Chrysalis coming down, like, Philia seems like it could cause a lot of problems. So opponent's already gotten 2 Stoneforge equipments. Sort of Fire and Ice and Shadow Spear both can be pretty annoying for us. But here comes Writhing Chrysalis, limited legend in MH3. Gonna just get gobbled up by Skyclave Apparition though. So, which, seeing that makes me even more glad that we took care of Philia when we did, because that could get really nasty with Skyclave being blinked. Alright, gonna play Propagator Drone. Honestly, maybe should have just fired off Glimpse to get more Eldrazi Spawn into play, but wanted to like put some stats on the battlefield. Though I guess we're not under that much pressure. Alright, fortunately the opponent did not draw land, because we could have been getting whammied with sort of Fire and Ice right away, so we have a little bit of a reprieve, but that card is gonna be just tough. So, alright, draw a land right here and have Deathrite Shaman. Go ahead and fire off Glimpse right here. Maybe should have sacked a spawn. It's always hard to say. So we did draw a Wooded Foothills. And we did pull a Kozilek's command, but we could fire it for X equals 2 right here on the Stoneforge if we sacrifice all of our spawns, but that just doesn't seem very amazing. Like, Stoneforge has sort of already done its work. There's not any like huge nasty equipment in this format right now that like it's gonna cheat into play. So it sucks to lose one of our Kozilek's commands for nothing, but that's how it goes sometime. Alright, so opponent does find the land. Another Skyclave. Let's see what they take this time. Alright, so we're gonna take Binding Drone. Things are not looking amazing right now. Okay, so opponent just passes. They didn't go for the Sword of Fire and Ice equip right there. So, gonna put another Deathrite into play and hold up a Kozilek's command. So let's see if the opponent has anything. End of turn. And there's Ophelia again. So that is really bad news. One, because its flicker ability can just mow down our tokens, but not. They also have tons of Skyclave apparitions. So, and Stoneforge, but they already have a ton of equipment. So here comes Sword of Fire and Ice and Shadow Sphere, which could be bad. So we have to do this before attacks, but thankfully we have Kozilek's command. It's a colorless spell, so like Sword of Fire and Ice is not going to protect from this. I go for the card draw here because we just have a land in hand, need more action on. Maybe should have just made some Eldrazi Spawn just to like make some of our draws a little more potent. Anyway, I'm not certain that was the right choice, but here we go with a Scry X. Holding up some mana for some Deathrite activations, though maybe we should have poured it in to the X to get more scrying. And we're gonna ding them with Deathrite Shaman, but it's a pretty tough proposition to try and drain them when they have a Shadow Spear in play. You know, it's like we'll have to see how it goes. It's looking pretty rough. And we brick on Once Upon a Time. There's only lands for us to choose from, so that was tough. Like, would have loved like a Writhing Chrysalis or just something. And here comes another copy of Felia. So that is extremely bad news for us because we're out of interaction. Did not play the Glaring Fleshraker because of the impending Sword of Fire and Ice. Giver of Runes is incredibly bad news. The opponent does not attack though. Maybe we had too many blockers, or they can afford to be patient, I guess, because we have them under no pressure, and they have soon will have the safety of Giver of Runes. Now, one notable difference between Mother of Runes and Giver of Runes is that Giver of Runes can protect from colorless, so we don't even have that going for us with like all of our colorless creatures to try and block down Ophelia. So this is going to be bad. All right, so they're going to blink a Deathrite Shaman. Going to, before it disappears, use the damage dealing mode. Now, sometimes with Eldrazi Spawn, you could do the block sacrifice to like deny life gain. However, the opponent has trample also, so that trick will not work. If the creature's block sacrifice, they're just going to trample the full damage through and gain the life anyway. Here comes Sword of Fire and Ice, nuking the Deathrite Shaman. I don't know why I didn't activate it though. Could have gained some life, or yeah, I don't know why I didn't activate the second one. I don't know if I thought it was Summoning Sick or something. Maybe it was Summoning Sick, I don't know. But anyway, we're sort of flooding out, and the opponent has just like multiple value engines with their equipments and also Ophelia, not to mention the safety of Giver of Runes. It's looking dire. I'm still holding on to the Glaring to the Fleshraker, because that is a way we can sneak out a win. If we like rip a huge Kozilek's command, like get a bunch of ping triggers, like that's sort of getting out of reach at the moment. Okay, so now they're gonna start flickering their own Skyclaves. So it's gonna put a small blue token into play for us. And just gonna snap no block. We don't have quite enough stats in the battlefield to like block it and to get through a Giver of Runes activation. So things are just going pretty tough right now. I'm going to gain a little bit of life right here. It seems a little futile to keep trying to drain them when they're gaining so much. But it might open up something for like a Glaring Fleshraker win. But the problem is like, will we have enough mana for that? So they're going to blow up our Cavern. And we have one basic to get, so at least we still didn't go down a mana right there. Alright, here comes Skyclave once again. Hanging on for dear life, but it's getting pretty grim right now. Opponent has a sweet mono white deck going on. Decide that this is our best chance at the moment. We can play Fleshraker into it that heralds the end. Get at least one trigger off. And so now we're praying that Fleshraker can survive, and then maybe we can fire off a Kozilek's command to get back in this game. But the opponent is doing amazing right now. So we're going to flicker Skyclave. It's going to come back at end of turn. And I realize here that we have enough Eldrazi Spawn stats to just block and force the activation of Giver of Runes. Now, interesting thing is they're going to give it pro colorless, and that's going to knock off all the equipments. And, fortunately for us, just kill one of our spawns. It also stops Sword of Fire and Ice for like one turn. They're going to re-equip it on their flyer, so it's gonna start getting us again soon. And the question is, what are they going to nab with Skyclave? Alright, so if they play Thalia, yeah, that doesn't matter. So we're hoping they leave our Fleshraker alone, because that could be an avenue for us. And they do. They actually take the Lord. And so just praying for a Kozilek's command, and another Fleshraker is decent. Now, I'm going to triple speed here because, as you could tell, we are massively behind in this game, but it's hard for us to be killed exactly in this spot. So it's sort of death by 1,000 cuts. So I'm trying to block with blue creatures to get pro blue. Sort of Fire and Ice eats one of the Fleshrakers. Skyclave's going to come back, eat the other one. And that basically closes our window right there. And so we're going to move on to the next game. That one was tough because it felt like we had some outs, but we had some little bit of rough runs. But you know, you shake it off and move on to the next one. I'm going to shock this in for a Deathrite Shaman. Opponent has like an awesome Lotus pet over there. It must be like a rare one. Alright, Lurrus Companion. I have to check their MDFC because Celundi Vision is not one you see that often, so I'm like very curious about what's going on over there. Usually a lot of MDFCs indicate Charbelcher, but you can't play Charbelcher in a Lurrus deck, so I'm curious what's going on. Okay, opponent's going to crack Bobble. And didn't have any lands in the graveyard to like turn to a Fleshraker last turn. Okay, Dark Ritual. Let's see what happens now. Duress. Good for us. We're going to be able to Lightning Bolt their face and give them no targets for Duress. So, let's see what happens now. And they're going to Bitter Triumph down our Mana Dork, taking a ton of damage. So, opponent took 6 damage between their spells and ours, and Witching Well 2 to the top. So, alright. We did draw a land, which was necessary to get the Fleshraker going. I'm going to just attack in, but opponent has lost a ton of life. Alright, they play tap land, so their mana base is a little... It's not really working out for them. And this is going to deal a ton of damage right here. Just Fleshraker chipping in. And trying to decide, you know, it seems good to hold up Deathrite activation, represents an extra damage. But the opponent's facing a lot right here. Like, they're going to need something big. They're going to pass to us. Yeah, we're just going to end step Deathrite. And yeah, the opponent just packs in. So they stumbled a little bit on their mana. I'm not quite sure what they had going on in their deck. So maybe some sort of artifact build. But turn 1 Ragavan is always scary. But we're going to play Delighted Halfling. And our opponent's gambling. Let's see what happens next. They're going to crack their other fetch. Dark Ritual, okay, that's not good. Into Buried Alive. Triple Phoenix. And if you've been counting, yes, that was 3 spells. So Triple Phoenixes plus a Ragavan. I could see an argument to not blocking here because we're going to need as much mana as possible to come back from this. But that is just, I mean, that is what you call a turn 2 from the opponent. I mean, man, 11 damage coming at you, and Deathrite's too little too late right now. So opponent's going to just smash in for 9, and we're hoping Writhing Chrysalis can do something. But yeah, opponent just has the bolt, so we're dead before we get a turn 3. So that happens sometimes. We move on to the next one. I keep this hand off the strength of Once Upon a Time. It's not doing a whole lot otherwise, so going to pass. Would like to see what we draw first, like not too desperate to fire it off. We could do an end step surveil land. Get the commercial district. The mana base is tough in this deck. We're sort of functionally a 4-color deck. Binning Writhing Chrysalis is tough, but we honestly just need lands. Like, we're pretty far away from casting it. Like, it's a strong card, but need lands right now. And Cavern seems pretty good. It's a colorless source, and opponent could have blue. We don't really know yet. We're gonna play a Cavern protected Propagator Drone and pass. Let's see what the opponent does. Crack their fetch. Triome, okay. They just play another fetch and they pass to us. Interestingly, It That Heralds the End was not protected by Cavern there because it needed the colorless mana. Though we could have played our second Cavern and protected it, so. Alright, they're just going to surveil. I really wanted to play the fetch land, just to get that out of the way. Alright, up the Beanstalk. Becomes clear what the opponent's game is now. So, we see the sort of domain package, and they shock in a white source, falling to 13. And this is just sort of like a clunky start. Like, we don't have a Fleshraker, we don't have any more mana dorks, so what we do have is a couple lords with It That Heralds the End number 2 right here. Not to mention another drone, so like, yeah, the auto tapper's being a little funky right now. Just, it's trying to Cavern this one into play, but honestly, maybe I should have let it Cavern it and let the other one not be. The opponent's not going to counter with a green and a white land right there, so. Alright, they're going to swords the one lord that can attack, so we're only attacking them for 3 right here. And I'm going to play another Propagator Drone, but we just don't have any spawns right now, so we have stats, and the opponent is falling somewhat low, but they have another up the Beanstalk. So basically, we gotta hurry up and kill them because they're getting like an incredible engine online, and like we do have 8 damage right here, so like it's not unheard of that we can get there. But this is a nightmare scenario right here. Leyline Binding, as if it wasn't good enough, but now it draws 2 cards. So we're gonna take away the attacking lord and reduce the damage to them down to 4, but it gets worse than that because they're going to pitch cast Solitude, drawing 2 cards, and take down another attacker. So all of a sudden, like, we had that huge army with threatening a ton of damage, but they got the beans online, and so now we're only attacking for 2. And going, it's a tricky question as to what to tap because we've left ourselves without a colorless source, but I wanted to be able to cast a number of things and get punished here by not being able to cast our It That Heralds the End off the glimpse. So punished by how I tapped for that. Alright, here comes Uro. Also not great because it's going to gain them some life and buffer the opponent's life total. Not to mention, but they're filling their graveyard quite quickly, so it means we'll have to deal with Uro. Now, Kozilek's command is a clean answer to it, so. Alright, so they're going to Galvanic Discharge our Halfling. And here's another Leyline Binding. Oh, man. That's really tough. So the opponent's going to draw a couple cards, and this is slipping away. This is the power of the Beanstalk, you know, like, especially combined with the pitch elementals, Leyline Binding, like, already powerful cards now get a powerful engine. So I'm gonna fetch a tapped shock land. Only have 1 surveil land in this deck because we have so many awkward like colorless lands, so like didn't feel like it could squeeze any more in, but Writhing Chrysalis could do something here. And as we put that on the stack, let me know in the comments, what's your favorite Eldrazi card? There's a lot of good ones, multiple Titans. I'd have to probably say like Thought-Knot Seer and or Reality Smasher. Soft spot for both of those. As the opponent plays Omnath. And they're going to generate some extra mana. Oh no, that's the first trigger, so they're getting life. Up the beanstalk number 3. Oh boy. Not good, you could say. Opponent does have some mana open. Now you have to always be careful with Writhing Chrysalis. Like if you just sacrifice them all at once, all the counter triggers go on the stack at the same time and it can be bolted down. So carefully sacrificing them one at a time to be able to protect it from damage-based removal. Now what I'm going to do here is get rid of Omnath and create a bunch of Eldrazi spawns. And it didn't look like it when we started this turn, but we can actually potentially kill them right here. Because we'll be making so many spawns. So we have 6 more, so we can actually fire off an X=4 Kozilek's command while putting 6 more counters on our Chrysalis. So I'm optimistically attacking in, but the opponent has another Solitude. And of course, with so many card draw things. So was hoping that we had like a chance to steal the win right here, but they found another Solitude. So had they not had an answer for Chrysalis, we would have killed them right here with the second Kozilek's command, sacrificing all the spawn we had in play. Alright, so they're going to discharge. We're going to sacrifice in response to deny them the energy. Not sure if they have another use for it, but might as well. Alright, here comes Flage. More bad news for us. Alright, so they're going to target a spawn. We're going to sacrifice that as well and deny them the life gain. Just trying to keep them at 13 if we can help it, but it seemed like maybe our last chance was riding with that Chrysalis. So opponent's going to play Teferi. And, I mean, we're not really doing a lot. We're just denying them a bunch of life and cards, which is something, you know, still feels pretty bad to be facing down 3 Beanstalks right now. Checking their graveyard to see, like, the potential for escaping Uro and or Flage. Bolt is pretty nice. This is the awkward part about playing so many spawns, is like if you don't have a Lord or like the drone, they don't have any power, so forced to bolt Teferi despite having 3 creatures in play, and keeping up enough mana for Kozilek's command on either Flage or Uro, but they're both incredibly bad news. Opponent fires off Brainstorm. Just because they're going to gain the opponent life and put things even more out of reach. Alright, Galvanic Discharge. We can't fizzle it this time, so. Opponent's going to destroy the Halfling. And we're going to pass to them. Now I'm moving to triple speed at this point because you saw how we almost snuck out a win at that point. So I'm hanging around, but as you could see, like our percentage chance of winning just keeps diminishing right here as opponent plays more and more life gain, and like they have triple beans online, but I haven't seen like a really strong win condition from them yet. Like Uro, I guess, sort of counts, but you know, we could get another Kozilek's command. All right, so they're gonna attempt to Teferi again. We're gonna deny them the card draw. This Oko, though, I do respect as a way to close the game quickly, because we could theoretically block Uro and stay alive for a bit longer, but with Oko in play, like I'm just gonna see what this draw step is, and it's a land. So I'm gonna go ahead and concede here at a healthy 20 life. So this is a very interesting strategy. I'm not sure how competitively viable it is, but there's some fun things going on in here. I like Fleshraker a whole lot. It's just incredibly fragile, dies to like so many removal spells, but if you can get it to stick around, you can cause some really cool things to happen. Now, in early iterations, I was testing Ragavan in place of Delighted Halfling as like a potent way to like get treasure into play and maybe make stuff happen, but we really, like, I think you really need the colorless sources on Delighted Halfling, and so I ended up moving away from that. But this deck is a little bit at odds with itself. Like, we're like sort of a ramp deck. Like, we have these mana dorks and like trying to cast, like, put a bunch of mana into stuff, but we're also running like Lords, and I think we might be better suited skipping the Lords and just going all in like the combo of like putting a bunch of spawns into play and killing them with Fleshraker. So I think something that would help with that would be to run the 1 ring. So maybe cut the lords for like 4 1 rings. That will allow us to like power through with card advantage, fog turns, and like give us a way to like leverage all the mana we're generating, like get a bunch of cards, combine it with Glimpse of the Impossible to really get things moving. So I think this could be a really good 1 ring deck. Another possible way to upgrade the mana base would be with Prismatic Vista, which it's like a fetch land for basics that puts them into play untapped, and that would allow us to play like a waste, you know, to like get the colorless online, but then you're like heavy on the basics, and so I just didn't have the mythic wild cards for this one to really work on it. But yeah, it's an interesting puzzle, and we'll see if we keep tinkering with it. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you want to see even more nonsense, please consider subscribing. And if you're already subscribed, thank you for your support. Your engagement with the channel helps me know what the people want. Thank you.